Alright, the first thing we're going to need to do to get started on this is to remove the interior trunk trim panel. I did cover this somewhat in my other videos that covered the installation of the Pioneer DMX 1500 NEX and the routing of that wiring, but since I've got to remove this cover again, I will cover the process. Now this is specific to the Volkswagen EOS. If you have a different car, this may not be applicable. What you're going to need for this preferably would be a panel puller type of tool and a T20 Torx. We've got these plastic rivet screws to remove. A T20 will fit into these if they're not all completely stripped out, and you should be able to unscrew these. And if you have a panel puller, you can get a panel puller underneath that and pop those out. Now these things are chintzy and they're expensive from Volkswagen. I recommend hitting up Amazon or eBay. I bought an entire bag of them for like less than $10. There's way more than what I need, but I'm going to replace all of these because they're brittle, they're stripped out. They're kind of designed to go in and just never come out again. And if you've got a proper T20 Torx, that shouldn't be an issue. But you know, they're cheap, so buy yourself a bag of them. So I'm going to go ahead and remove all of these. I'll do that off camera. We've got to remove this cover piece, which just kind of pulls off. And watch that, make sure that that doesn't get damaged in the process. You don't need to remove these. You can pull this cover off over those. We will need to remove this handle. This is the emergency release handle. I'm going to go ahead and remove all of these, and I'll be back and I'll show you how to remove this. And there's also inside of here, which if we can probably can't see because of the light situation, but inside where my hand is, right up here, you put your hand up in there and feel there's two T20 Torx screws. There's one here and there's one there, so remember those. And then it's probably best to do this handle with the trunk liner still in place. So let me get some of these pins removed, or these plastic rivet pins removed, and we'll show you how to do the trunk handle. Alright, getting back to the handle, this little green cover just pops off. You can pop that off with your fingers, and you've got a little metal ball right there. You can see that ball is attached to a cable, so that ball needs to be popped out of this handle, and it's probably best to do that using a little flat blade screwdriver while the trunk panel is still in place. You gotta kind of pull it down. Best to use two hands for that, and I'm trying to do it with holding. There we go, and it'll just kind of sit there. So this handle, just be careful with this handle. It's plastic and it pops into a socket. It has a little ball on the end of it and it pops into a socket, so it's kind of flimsy. But you just need to pop this ball out, and then you'll be good to go. So we're almost ready to remove this. I've got two screws on the inside. I need to pull those out, and I can remove this cover. Alright, so once you get all the screws out, your panel's going to drop down, and it's going to be somewhat captured by that release cable. And the release cable's got a little rubber grommet that slides into a slot right there. And if you slide it out of the slot, you can see it's slotted. And that's when you go to reinstall it, you'll want to make sure that the ball piece goes through the opening. Let's see if you can see that, hopefully. So it's a little opening right there, and then this will slot into place. So keep that in mind, that when you go back to reinstall this, this should be slotted and the ball should be pushed all the way through there. And once you remove that, your trim panel will come out. that's all there is to removing the trim panel.